Hey guys, in this video, we're gonna go over how to mount your GFC accessory rail. These rails are perfect for mounting our mod mount system, and it's a really quick, easy install. There are 3 different styles of mounting depending on the version and type of camper or GFC topper that you have. We're gonna go through all 3 in this video, but the 3 different styles are accessory plug, cross nut, and well nut. So in this camper, we have the accessory plugs. If you see a machined aluminum piece like this, that means you have the accessory plugs. These are really easy to take out. You'll just need a 5/32 bit or Allen wrench, and you just gently take these out. So it doesn't take much, but you're just loosening and pulling these out. You can pull those aside for a minute. So once you remove the accessory plug, you'll see that there is an outside and then there's an inner piece that secures it to the camper. So you're gonna remove this inner piece here, and then you're gonna reuse your hardware as well. So this hardware will just drop right into the hole, and you'll reattach this the same way it was attached to that accessory plug. Give it a few spins, and you'll do the same thing to the other side of this rail. So you wanna thread this anchor on a decent amount because we're gonna be pulling back, as you'll see in a second. You don't want to start with it way out here. So I thread it about halfway down, and then I put it in this horizontal position left to right because this needs to drop into the slot in your GFC rail like so. So once you line it up and you drop it in, I'm using a little bit driver here, but you can use an Allen wrench or whatever works for you. And I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees. And if you look in there, underneath, you can see that it's now pointing straight vertical up and down. And that's what grabs onto the inside of that extrusion to tighten this thing on. So now I'm just gonna drop this thing on here. You can do this with an Allen wrench as well. And what I'm gonna do with my left hand is pull pressure. So I'm pulling back. I'm pulling back towards myself, and then I'm slowly tightening. And that just makes sure that that anchor doesn't move. The anchor's still vertical. And I didn't tighten it very much because I still have to do the backside, but it's snug and in place right now. So this one might be a little tougher for you to see on video, but I'm basically gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pull this away so I have a little gap. I'm gonna rotate it until I see that it's vertical, and I'm pulling pressure this way towards myself with my hand. And I'm gonna drop this thing back on and slowly tighten. So it's nice and stuck. Now you'll repeat this process on the other 2 top rails of your camper. So that's how easy it is to install these accessory rails in your GFC. The last thing I would do is I'd grab an Allen wrench and I would just hand tighten these, making sure they're nice and snug. When you get your kit, you have 2 identical rails, one for left and one for right. And then you have a 3rd rail that goes in on the cab. One thing to keep in mind on the cab rail is that there's a center hole. We suggest doing the center hole first and just leaving it nice and snug, not too tight, because you're gonna need to apply pressure to the outside of these. But if you do this middle one first, it makes the outside ones much easier. And that's it. That's how easy it is to do an install on your camper or topper with the accessory plugs. Let's go check out one with the cross nuts. All right, moving on to our second install scenario. If you have these zinc plated threaded inserts in your camper, which is the standard for all the newer campers, then this is gonna be a really simple install for you. Your kit will come with 3 rails. 2 of them will be identical. Those will be for the sides. And then you'll get this pack of hardware, which is just 5/16 18 flathead screws. So starting with our first rail here, all you're gonna do is line up one of these holes like so. You can use an Allen wrench or a power tool. Just be careful if you're using the power tool. I leave this one loose so that I can make some minor adjustments to the second one and get it nice and flush. And then it doesn't take much, just a little bit of torque in there, and it's rock solid. You're ready to go. Repeat this step on the other side. And when you do the cab, install the middle one first and then the 2 outsides. Hey, good morning. We're here bright and early to show you the 3rd and final type of install you'll be doing on your GFC camper. This one is for if you have a camper with what is called well nuts. Well nuts is like a little rubber coated nut that goes in the holes there, and we're gonna be removing those and putting in these cross nuts. These cross nuts are a much stronger, more stable platform for your camper. If you have the well nuts, your kit will come with 7 of these cross nuts and also an install tool. The install tool is a bolt with a washer, a nut, and then a serrated washer. The serrated washer goes closest to the cross nut. And you'll just thread these in like that, and then you'll go ahead and install them, and we'll show you that in the truck. Here we are in the third and final type of install. This one is when you have these well nuts in your camper here, and we're gonna be replacing those with cross nuts. So the first thing you're gonna do is remove this screw from the well nut. And once you take that and the washer off, you're gonna be able to work that well nut free. It's gonna be a little complicated, and you're gonna have to spend a little time kind of pulling and prying it away. And some will come out easier than others, but it just takes a little bit of working, and they pop right out. So the way that these well nuts work is this screw gets pushed into the well nut, and as it pushes on this front face here, it makes the well nut expand. So over time, if you've had your camper for a while, they may be a little bloated like this. And so that's why you kind of have to work it after you take this out, just to make this pass through that hole in there. Now we have some of this assembly lube, and we kind of like dab some behind here on the ones that were tougher to get out. And you just kind of do it in a spinning motion until it pulls out. Some are harder than others, some pop right out, but you can kind of wrench on them, so it's not that bad. Okay, so here's the tool that your kit's gonna come with. You get a long bolt, a regular washer, a nut, and then a serrated washer. The serrated washer should always go against the top of the cross nut right there. And all you'll do is screw this in so it's snug, and then this will drop inside your camper, and then we'll go over the procedure right up here. So once you've assembled your tool inside the cross nut will then just go into the hole, and you'll basically just make sure that it goes all the way in like that. So we've actually found that this is the best method. We use a ratchet with a 1/4 inch, and this is a 1/4 inch tool here. So you want to hold that nut from spinning and tighten this. And when you get to the end, you'll start to feel it get snug where there's no play this way. But you want to keep going until you feel it get nice and tight. There we go. And then you're just gonna simply pull the, you're gonna reverse it here and then pull it out. Okay, we wanna give you guys one more look at how these cross nuts work, just to show you how important it is to make sure it seats all the way. So this little piece of material here is gonna simulate the wall of the extrusion that you'd be installing this into in your camper. So basically when you put this tool all together and you slide this in like so, you're gonna put your crescent wrench on the nut. And then we've found that using a ratchet is kind of the easiest way to get this done. And it's a little unstable the way we have it, but it'll get our point across. So as you tighten this, it's expanding that cross nut inside the wall. So all you're doing is tightening the nut, which is crushing that. And it's important that, so even right now, there's no way it's coming out, but it's pretty loose. So you don't want that. You want to make sure this thing's nice and snug. So as you get closer, it does get a little bit harder to turn, a little tighter, but you really want to go and make sure you get it so it's nice and snug, just like that. And then all you do is reverse this on here. So you go lefty-loosey. And then you can simply pull it out, and your cross nut is securely locked in there. All right, also provided in your kit is these 7 flathead screws, and these will fit directly into the countersunk hole on the extrusion that you're installing. Yep. So you're just gonna line this up like so. And on the first one, again, just like the other campers, we leave it a little loose so that we can line up the second hole. And then you can go back and tighten them both in. Just a quick note, some of these side rails do have a center hole. It is not countersunk. Just so you guys know, this is a tooling hole for us. That is not a hole that you're using. You're only using countersunk holes. When you go to the cab rail here, most of them do have a center hole that you will use, but it is a countersunk hole on the extrusion. Okay, we got the sides installed and now we're just gonna drop this cab rail on. Again, we found that the easiest way to do this cab rail is to just snug up that middle one and then you can kind of rest there. You don't have to hold it anymore. And then you can drop in these end ones. And then once you have all of them just snug, you can go back and retighten. So that concludes our video on the 3 different ways you can install these rails in your camper depending on which model of camper you have. Go ahead and check out our video on the Mod Mount Pro Pack to see how you can best utilize these rails.